Yeah, thanks for the really nice introduction. As you mentioned, I worked at BlackRock last summer, and for Georgia Tech students, I worked at NCR in my freshman summer. I don't know, I guess like my general philosophy has been that it's a cycle, right? Like one internship leads to another, and to get that first internship, you need to have a previous internship, which well sucks, but that's kind of how it is. Yeah, in terms of my background, I obviously like work towards passion projects like Daniel kind of mentioned, along with my basic academics and everything. And I kind of feel like to get an internship, especially like your first couple internships, it's really important for you to go out and put yourself there, right? Just like meet people, talk to recruiters. I feel like a lot of people don't value the networking part. They're like, okay, I have an amazing resume. I should get an interview everywhere. And coming into college, that was kind of my perspective too. I'm like, you know what? I like my resume. I should get an interview everywhere. I have a 4.0, brilliant. But unfortunately, that's not how it works, especially in US. You want to kind of be meeting people, doing stuff outside of classes. So I became a teaching assistant, with something I enjoy as well. I obviously took on a few projects outside. I worked at like a couple of small startups, like a part-time intern or a volunteer in some cases, which I think definitely helped a little bit. I had a couple of like internships in India before, I don't know, coming to US, which again helped. And in like 3 months between my graduating from 12th and me actually coming to college, I took on an internship, like a remote internship with a firm based in Boston. And then coming here, I became president of data science at Georgia Tech. I organized Hacklytics, as Yasin mentioned. I was an intern this summer at BlackRock. I got a few offers for next summer. He's very nicely sharing my screen from like Amazon, a few unicorns like Tanium and Plaid, a quant company named Chicago Trading Company. So I've kind of been looking at very different job markets. But I think in terms of general advice, I'd say network, right? Like go out and meet recruiters, just message them on LinkedIn, reach out to people and just be like, hey, I'm really interested in what your company does. Hey, I'm really interested in what you do. Can you tell me a little bit more and get the conversation started? And I think that really helps because it's difficult to get the interviews, right? Like to get an interview means your resume has to be it's like it's sparse, and very often it's a little bit of luck, right? Like some really nice resumes I've seen just like don't get parsed and you don't get an interview. But if you're talking to recruiters, meeting people, I feel like your chances quadruple. Or if you're talking to hiring managers, even better, right? So something that I've kind of done is, luckily through data science at Georgia Tech, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people and companies. So I go out of my way to talk to these people more and more. And I talk to them from the context of my club, obviously. I'll tell them like, hey, this is how you can partner with us. But then I'll always be like, hey, so I'm looking for a job as well. Maybe you can kind of help point me in the right direction or connect me the right person. And more often than not, if you have a pre-existing relationship with them, at the very least, they're really nice to just talk to you, interact with you, give you some tips on your resume, connect you to the right people, maybe get you an interview, right? And when it comes to the interviewing part, I've been told that one thing that I do really well is kind of break down the problem, because when it comes to certain jobs, they're more selective than others, and just approaching it in a nice way is just as important as solving it, right? A lot of people can solve lead code problems, and a lot of people like just go to lead code, grind out hundreds and hundreds of problems, and are able to solve them. But what a lot of interviewers actually look for is, hey, can this guy think out of the box? Hey, can this guy approach a problem correctly? Hey, can this guy, like, I don't know, have the behavioral aspect combined with the technical aspect? And that's where the real difficulty comes. And literally, when I get a problem, the first thing I'll do is take a minute or two to read it, ask a couple of clarifying questions, and then be like, hey, these are a couple of ways I'd solve it. This is the brute force method. This is a more efficient method. This is an even more efficient method. This is kind of my objective evaluation of these methods. Like this is in, I don't know, this time complexity, this space complexity of the top of my head. Do you have any recommendations? Do you think I should go with these? Do you think I should kind of look outside? And I think those kind of approaches really help. And when you're working through the problems as well, just like talking through them, being like, okay, this is how I'd approach this. These are the two, three different ways to do this. This is why I've done this, and keep asking them for feedback as to if you're doing something right or wrong, because often you're going down the wrong track or going down a track that they don't want you to go down, and they only tell you once you're done. But if you ask them in the middle, maybe they stop you and they redirect you, and your interview can kind of take a turn. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I'm happy to answer a couple of questions if you'll have, and connect with anyone who has questions or wants to interact later as well.
Shreiyas, what team do you work at BlackRock? I think BlackRock's such a good company. I think so what you're in the trading team. So do you like do OCaml? Like are you buy side, sell side? What is your actual task or expected task?
So, I mean, the reason I don't like talk much about what I did on LinkedIn is because there are a lot of rules and restrictions as to when I worked there. But I was working as a quant trader at BlackRock. So I was working on the systematic trading team. It's a fairly new team. It's not like a hedge fund where you have like the buy side, sell side kind of factor. It's an asset manager at the end of the day. But what I was doing is I was looking at like central bank speeches. So I was looking at different speeches and seeing like, okay, this is how this person has spoken about it. This is what this person has said. And I was building a large language model, and that large language model was supposed to tell me that, okay, based on this speech, this is how the interest rates are going to react. So is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? And interest rates are very closely interlinked with the bond market. So BlackRock, I was working on like the bond trading desk, and BlackRock trades a lot of bonds. So it gave me a lot of insight into how it trades, and it went into when it went into production. I think a little bit after my internship, it's now actually used by traders while making like bond decisions. So I looked at everything from like obviously like the central bank speeches, but also looked at like sentiment analysis. I looked at different libraries to see what best information I can extract from it.
Shreyas, one other question is you go to Georgia Tech. I was there um 3 weeks ago now. You're on visa. You have also a lot of friends who are on visa. Some of our folks here are also on visa. What can they do to guarantee, like, I believe it's double harder for them to land an offer, and it's also even harder for them to like get like convert that, right? Any tips on that? Like what any advice?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like student visa definitely reduces the number of opportunities you have because fewer companies hire. But I feel like just reaching like what you have to do kind of to overcome that is reach out to more companies, do a little bit of research into those companies and see, hey, does this company hire with visa, does not hire with visa? Luckily, I think from like the tech side directly, most of them are fairly open to hiring F1 students, which is like the international visa. But I'd say just increase the breadth, reach out. Like there's a lot of products online like Simplify and stuff where you can apply to like 20 companies or 100 companies within minutes. I'd say obviously using those. And then there are like obviously going to be certain targeted companies that like, I really want to work with this company. For those companies, I'd be like, I don't know, write out like specific things that, okay, this is why I'm passionate the company, or see if like they cover letters and stuff. But I'd say just like generally increasing your breadth a lot means that you're applying to most options that you have. And what's also luckily happening is more and more companies are reducing visa requirements, which could work out very well in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Shreyas, guys, people have question for Shreyas, please drop in the chat. I already saw some here. So, you're popular, bro. People want to do coffee chat with you right away. Um, I've tried, like, how do you cold recruiter someone? Like, how do you reach out to recruiters? Someone was saying like they message them but never respond, because it ghosted.
I think it's a lot to do with like how you approach the topic as a whole. One way is obviously like just, oh, find them on LinkedIn, like message them and connect. That could work, but it's unlikely. I think a more useful way to do it is a lot of people, like if you see on LinkedIn, will put out messages like, hey, I'm hiring, hey, I'm doing this, hey, I'm looking for interns, or hey, I'm looking for them. Put like an interested there, and then maybe message them after that and be like, hey, I saw your thing, this looks really interesting, and connect with them there. So I think that's one way. And another way which I've personally found very useful is a lot of people come to like every college has like career fairs, recruiting fairs, and I'm not a huge fan of career fairs in general. But whenever I've gone to a career fair or like a hackathon or any kind of place where I'd interact with companies, like you can have this 2 3 minute conversations where you give your elevator speech and like kind of be done with it, but there are 1,000 elevator speeches a day, right? Like it's very difficult, however cool you are or however amazing you think your resume is, to distinguish yourself from them. So rather talk about something different, talk about something interesting, kind of enough to make the recruiter remember you. And I've had like 15 or 20-minute conversations when there's a line of 50 people, which kind of shows that if you have the right conversation, they're willing to spend more time talking to you. And once you've had those 15 or 20-minute conversations, it's very easy to then be like, okay, let's connect on LinkedIn, let's talk more. And in fact, that's how I landed my BlackRock internship. I'd met them at a fair. I spoke to a recruiter for around half an hour at the career fair, which well seems pretty unheard of or pretty rare at least. And after that, I connected them on LinkedIn. I'm like, hey, can you give me an interview? And at least personally, I feel like the interviewing part is a lot easier than the getting the interview. So yeah, I think that worked out really well. But I'd say have different conversations with them. Don't just be like, hey, I want a job, because everyone tells them that. So you want to be able to differentiate yourself.
Hmm. Um, Shreyas, really appreciate the time you have here. I know you did a little bit back and forth in the Georgia Tech between the Wi-Fi and stuff like that. I just want to mention to you and everyone else, you might know this, but I believe there's a billion people in the world that want to come to US every year. And primarily reason they want to come in, one of the reasons they want to get in is through education. Because education is, the F1 sponsor, it gives them opportunity. You're one of the 5 million people that actually made it. And of the 5 million people that made it, a lot of them end up doing STEM majors, and they're not going to do product management because that's a luxury. They're probably going to go into something more technical like software engineering. Most people who land software engineering jobs don't get a lot of internships. You got multiple offers, 3 to 4 offers, if not more. Of those offers, you also got to work on a systematic trading team, one that's new. So you're getting to learn the most in a new team. And it's going to open worlds for you. If you want, you can work at a hedge fund down the line. I'm sure you've thought about that. Maybe you even got an offer, you said, maybe in Chicago or something like that, right? So that's incredible that how fast and how the odds are stacked. You're a hero to a lot of people back home in India and around the world who want to break in. And that just makes, if you can do it from that perspective, people who have it easier here, they should just try their best, right? And so kudos to you, man. You've done incredible work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. What are your quick thoughts on Head Starter? Because I know you heard me pitch that. First of all, the hackathon story here at Georgia Tech, and then you looked at the platform a couple of times. What are your thoughts?
Me, I mean, I really like the platform. I mean, so I kind of connected Yossi on LinkedIn, and I'm like, hey, why don't you come down to Georgia Tech? We're hosting a hackathon. And he's like, oh, is it too expensive? Oh, can I come? And I'm like, you know what? You have to come. And I think I hope at least what he told me, I hope he's not lying, is that he had a great time. Basically game mentor people, and it was really nice. I think in general, like lead code's great, but the missing component of lead code is largely getting feedback or learning more. And there are definitely like a lot of ways to tackle that, from like neat code to different things. But getting personalized feedback is always great. And it's usually pretty expensive to hire a tutor or I don't know, hire someone who's like giving you feedback all the time, which is why I think Head Starter is something great to just like give you feedback. They'll talk to you, they'll like you can get on a call with Yasin, you can just like get feedback from the system itself. I think you just learn a lot more than you would learn by just like, okay, I made this mistake, I looked at the solution, I'm done. So yeah, I think it's a great product.
Thanks so much, Shreyas. Just throwback. Here's Shreyas right there, man in behind the scene running the show. So it's cool. It's great. Someone has said, how do you prepare for hackathon? Just follow me on LinkedIn, man. I have so much tips on LinkedIn. So just read through my posts, and a lot of folks they share their journeys. So you can check that out. Shiraz, can we get some praise for Shiraz, please? in the chat. Let's just drop some praise on Shreiyas in the chat, please. And Shreiyas, I'd love to share your LinkedIn once again. Stay connected with him. This is Shreyas's LinkedIn. So yeah, Shreyas, you see that? So we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.